Good morning, Glendale. This is the time and place for the zoning hearing for February 24th, 2010. My name is Brad Collin, and I will be conducting the hearing as a hearing officer today. We have two cases scheduled. Relevant exhibits are posted on the plans located directly behind me. If you wish to speak, please write your name, address on one of the speaker forms which have been provided by the front door and submitted to our planning assistant. Notification of this hearing was accomplished by the use of public notices, which were mailed to property owners located within 500 feet of the subject property, physically posted on the site in question, and placed in the local newspaper. The hearing will proceed as follows. I'll read the description of the application request. I'll read the reports received from other city departments and other letters or communications from interested parties. Then the case planner will make a brief overview of the case, which will include analysis and a recommendation. The applicant will then be asked to come forward, stating both his name and address, and will be asked to present the case. There will be a 15-minute time limit, and others in support or in opposition to the application and interested parties will be asked to come forward to speak, again clearly stating both name and address. They will be given 3 minutes for time limit. Lastly, the applicant will be given the opportunity to make closing comments, if desired, in response to any testimony that's received during the hearing today. After that, the hearing will be closed and taken under submission. After the hearing, the decision will be prepared in writing and will be given in the form of a letter sent to the applicant and to all persons who have responded to the public notice, either by speaking at this hearing or by submitting written responses and have provided their name and mailing addresses. The date of the decision will be the date appearing on the letter. I'd also like to inform everyone that the official proceedings of the zoning officer's hearing today are recorded on tape as part of the public record. The first case is a conditional use permit located at 911 South Glendale Avenue. The applicant is Brett Engstrom from Art Rodriguez and Associates, and we have one comment out of several that were received from the different departments, and it was a request from our integrated waste department requesting that the property be kept clear and clean of trash. That'll be included as a condition depending on the decision on the hearing. And right now we'll hear from the case planner to summarize the project. Ms. Kazan?
Good morning, hearing officer. The project before you with the case number PCUP 2009-023 located at 911 South Glendale Avenue is a request for approval of a conditional use permit to allow sales of beer and wine for off-site consumption at an existing market, caravan market. The existing market is located within a single-story multi-tenant commercial complex. Currently, the site contains the market and the bakery store. The market has been in operation since 1996 at 901 South Glendale Avenue and has recently moved to 911 South Glendale Avenue. The sales of beer and wine should not require any new city services, affect public safety and welfare, or be in conflict with existing or anticipated surrounding land uses. According to the Glendale Police Department, census tract in which the property is located allows for 6 off-sale establishments. There are currently 5 off-sale establishments in this tract. Allowing sales of beer and wine at caravan market will be within the limit permitted for off-sale establishment in the tract. The Police Department and Neighborhood Services Division have not expressed any concern regarding the project. The Armenian Church of Nazarene, the Theodore Roosevelt Junior High School, and Horace Elementary School are located in the proximity of the subject property. The market is providing A range of products, of which beer and wine are proposed to be included. The market is not a liquor store. Therefore, no adverse impact on the uses mentioned above should occur due to the sale of beer and wine. Currently, the existing 10 parking stalls serve the market and the bakery on the site and will continue to do so. In addition, the market is located on a portion of Glendale Avenue that is served by public transportation. The site is a fully developed retail center with all required utilities such as gas, electricity, water, and sewers already in place. The sale of beer and wine for off-site consumption is proposed in a commercially designated land use. A range of merchandise is sold in the market. To expand the range of the items on sale to include beer and wine for off-site consumption at the current location should not prove detrimental to public. The market is located within an established retail space and as such will not adversely affect or be in conflict with adjacent uses. No addition or new construction is proposed and all utilities are in place. Parking spaces and utilities are available to serve the market. Less than 10% of the overall sales floor will be dedicated to beer and wine. Staff believes that all of the findings can be made in a positive manner and recommends approval of the conditional use permit with the following conditions. Require a new conditional use permit if the store wishes to sell distilled spirit or alcoholic beverages other than beer and wine. Require renewal of the conditional use permit in 5 years. That no exterior signs advertising the sales of alcoholic beverages be permitted. That a sign shall be posted on the interior of the establishment in a location clearly visible to customers, giving notice that the consumption of alcoholic beverages on the premises is prohibited. That the premises shall be made available and accessible to any authorized city personnel, such as fire, police, neighborhood services, planning, etc., for inspection to ascertain that all conditions of approval of this conditional use permit are complied with. Lastly, that the applicant shall comply with all section department requirements as specified in their memo dated January 11, 2010 to the satisfaction of the city or department director. This concludes my presentation.
Thank you very much. At this time, I'd like to quickly go through, since this is a conditional use permit, there are 4 required findings per Title 30, Chapter 30.42 of the Glendale Municipal Code that are required to be met. And I'm going to ask that the applicant address each of these 4 findings as part of his presentation. The first finding is that the proposed use, as mentioned by Ms. Kiyazan, proposed use will be consistent with the elements and objectives of the general plan. Second, that the use and its associated structures and facilities will not be detrimental to the public health or safety or the general welfare or the environment. Third, that the use and facilities will not adversely affect or conflict with adjacent uses or impede the normal development of surrounding property. And fourth, that adequate public and private facilities, utilities, landscaping, parking spaces, and traffic circulation measures are or will be provided for the proposed use. In addition, since this project does involve the case or does involve the sale and, of alcoholic beverages, there are also 5 criteria that will be considered in making the findings. The first one is that the census tract with more than the recommended maximum concentration level of on-sale or off-sale uses. Second, the crime reporting district location of the existing or proposed use with a crime rate which exceeds 20% of the city average for Part 1 crimes reported by the Glendale Police Department. Third, that the existing or proposed use does not or will not adversely impact any church, public or private school or college, daycare facility, public park, library, hospital, or residential use within the surrounding area. Fourth, the adequate parking and loading facilities are or will be provided for the existing or proposed use or other reasonable alternatives satisfying the transportation and parking needs of the existing or proposed use. And that, notwithstanding consideration of the criteria listed above, which is the 4 findings I went through, the existing or proposed use does or will serve a public necessity or public convenience purpose for this area. At this point, I will open up the public hearing. We have one speaker card, Mr. Brett Ingstrom. I'd like to come forward. Please give your name and address.
Good morning. My name is Brett Ingstrom. I'm with Art Rodriguez and Associates, 709 East Colorado Boulevard, Pasadena, California, 91101. Here this morning on behalf of Caravan Market, which has been in operation since I believe 96 for quite a few years in the same neighborhood. They were originally at 901 South Glendale. Approximately a year and a half, they moved a few doors up the street, found a better space for their shop, and I've been operating there for, I'd say, almost a year and a half. We filed a CUP about 4 months ago, hoping to bring their existing beer and wine that they had used at the previous location to this new location. Therefore, there will not be a net increase in the licenses in the census tract. We will simply be utilizing an existing license that is currently surrendered, which happens when you cannot operate at the location you're at, you're moving, situations such as that. I would like to address the findings of fact in hopes of supporting our CUP application. I believe the application is consistent with the general plan, including the South Brand specific plan, which it's located. More specifically, the specific plan states that they are to provide for commercial services that serve the daily needs of the residents of the plan area and adjacent neighborhoods. This is a true neighborhood market. I'm amazed at the amount of goods he can fit within one tiny little shop. There is everything you could possibly need on a day-to-day basis. Makes sense to allow his customers to pick up a beer or wine at the same time, that by decreasing the need to visit a local liquor store or something else. It's a one-stop shop for almost everything they need. Dairy goods, fresh meats, bakery goods, cleansers, anything you could possibly think of. So I believe in that sense it is in tune with the general plan and the South Brand specific plan. The associated structures and the proposed use will not be detrimental to the public health, safety, or general welfare. It's an existing building. There will be no additional construction, exterior or interior. It's operating and existing. It has, the space was developed as a retail space originally. So it had a retail operation in mind when it was constructed and permitted originally. This business was in operation just a few doors down the street. So he's well tuned to the neighborhood, their needs, their desires, and how to operate a professional business. He will be closing at 8 o'clock at night. He will not be open late. He is truly a neighborhood market. This will not be an after hours, not be a liquor store. The percentage of alcohol compared to the rest of the goods, less than 10%, and that's in a favorable situation. It'll be far less than that in a practical matter. So I don't feel there's any real adverse effects to the neighborhood by allowing this operation to gain approval of the beer and wine license. As far as conflicting with the adjacent uses or impeding the normal development of the surrounding area, the area is developed, as you all know. Glendale Avenue has an assortment of commercial uses up and down the avenue. Directly behind is fairly high-density residential. These residents need a place to pick up their daily goods. And I've visited the store on many occasions, and I would say at least half, probably closer to 75% of the clients have walked in from the surrounding apartments. So I don't think you're really impeding the development. You're actually adding to it, offering a daily service to those people already in the area. So it's actually an attraction, I believe, to the local development for the high density residential uses. As we talked about previously, the building is existing with all utilities already intact. Did have a retail operation in mind when it was developed originally. Should be satisfactory for this use as well. It's not a tremendously busy store. I'm sure he would like it to have more traffic on a daily basis, but it is what it is, and I believe we have suitable utilities, traffic circulation. There is public transportation up and down Glendale. There are 10 spaces on site for parking behind the store, which they share a building with a bakery. Per code of 4 per 1,000 for retail uses, they have code required parking on site. There are 6 spaces that are dedicated for the store, which account for their required parking. There are an additional 4 that are used by the bakery. The bakery has a delivery service, or where they deliver to nearby stores and such. So the walk-in business that they have themselves is not great, so they use one of their spaces to load and unload their trucks. But the parking area is very clean. You mentioned a condition that was going to be requested by one of the departments, clean and clear of trash. I'm amazed at how clean the parking lot is because it is a busy area. And the alley directly behind isn't nearly as clean. So I think they do put a lot of effort into keeping it clean and presentable. I believe those should direct you to approve the CUP, those findings of facts. I would also be happy to address the alcohol requirements if you would like to hear.
Yes, please.
Please. As stated, there was an existing license. Caravan has an existing license within the census tract that was at 901 South Glendale. When they close that store, it's called an R65 surrender with the Department of AVC, where the license is put in limbo. We'll be using that same license, so it will not result in a net increase in licenses in the area. We are simply utilizing an existing license. So therefore, I don't think it'll add to an overconcentration or change the numbers at all. The crime, this is a nice neighborhood area. I don't believe it's a high crime district. I don't believe it was listed so in the staff report. Forgive me if I'm mistaken. I didn't hear it as such. He will be closing at 8 p.m. every night. Opens at 8 a.m., closes at 8 p.m. It's not a late night, loud situation. It's not a bar, a nightclub. It's a small neighborhood store. Am I right about the crime?
Well, it's the police comment mentions that there are 114 crimes, 23% above the average of 93 within the city.
Okay, I apologize. I didn't see that. I didn't see the report beforehand. I didn't know that stat. So what I can offer is that this was previously an empty space. He is there from 8 a.m. till 8 p.m. every day. There's someone present in the store. I think it adds a bit of safety to the area to have an open store and someone vigilant in there as opposed to an empty space where anything could happen. Nobody's really watching. And he does run a professional, responsible business. So I believe he will help contribute to the safety of the area overall. Back to our alcohol questionnaire. As far as I don't believe these proposed use will affect the neighborhood, the school, and the church in the area. They've already been in operation for 14 years or so with no significant issues. Same person, same operator, same store, 2 doors down. I don't see any reason to assume that the operation will be handled any differently. I believe he'll still run the same professional, responsible operation, and he will abide by any conditions placed in the CUP, of course. As far as the parking, we've spoke about the parking. There are 10 spaces on site. 6 are dedicated for the store to cover his code-required parking. The parking area is open. It's clean. He's sometimes in the back watching the parking area himself. So I think it has suitable parking on site, suitable facilities as far as utilities. There's public transportation out front. I think it's a suitable space for this operation. I I believe everything I presented beforehand should address the concerns or the requirements. Excuse me, there's one other matter I'd like to bring up. On the original site plan I received from the property owner, there is a portion of the parking area that's listed as landscaping. I was there again visiting just to follow up. I do not see the landscaping that is there. I don't know if that was part of the development agreement in the beginning, but when it was first developed, if that was required on the property. If so, I can go back and speak to the property owner. But as of now, I agree there's no landscaping in that back area. My only concern is that where the trees are drawn in the proposed landscaping, it may restrict the flow of traffic in and out of that parking area. That was my only concern, because it is open now, so it's easy to pull out and pull right into the alley. With the trees that were proposed, you would be backing up. It would restrict it a little bit. I'm willing to revise the site plan to address it as it currently stands, or approach the property owner, whichever would be preferred. And my apologies for that. I didn't realize. It's an older site plan, and apparently it wasn't followed through.
Right. Because once you get approval, it would be on the presented plan, so everything has to comply with it.
Certainly. And I would be happy to revise those plans and get you over a copy today if that was preferable, or however you would prefer me to handle it.
The landscaping plan for the parking lot,
Yes.
typically landscaping is a requirement of the parking area, so this is most likely put in as part of the development.
Yes.
So,
And as I said, I wasn't privy to the original development, and these were the plans I received, so that was one of my concerns when Gillet and I spoke over the previous couple days. I was wondering how best to address that, since it looks like it is a concrete barrier which would have dirt and plants within. I'm wondering if a set of large potted plants in that same area would satisfy. And I can pull up the original permits if necessary to find out what the landscaping was required on that property.
okay, well, we can look into it.
I'd be happy to
All right.
take direction. Any other questions I can answer on the property besides the landscaping at this time?
I noticed when I went out to the site, on the south-facing wall, there's a wall sign out there. I don't know if you happen to have the photos with you or not. I know we have them here. That includes beer and wine.
On the side?
On the sign, wall sign.
I have a feeling, I may have photos, I have
Excuse me, there are some photos might show, I'm not sure whether they do or not.
So that is something that would be conditioned to be removed.
Oh, sure. I'm sorry, I misunderstood. I'm assuming that he took the existing sign that he had at the previous building and simply relocated it here. I don't believe it was made up particularly for this space. I may be mistaken, but I assume he brought everything from the old store to the new space. And but that will come down or be revised to eradicate the beer and wine.
As part of the
Yes,
part of the wall sign, and that will be made a condition.
certainly.
I don't have any other questions. Is there anything else that you wanted to add, or?
No, I believe he's been an experienced operator for over 14 years. I think he's shown his responsible manner. He'll be running the same operation, simply 2 doors up the street, same existing license. I think this is a good application for approval.
Actually, there's one other thing I wanted to mention. I was walking around the site. The awning that's at the front, that's visible from Glendale Avenue.
Yes.
The previous business's sign is behind that awning. It says cellular or something along that line.
Sorry.
So that should be something that's also removed.
Is the awning itself acceptable except for the wording?
Awning is fine,
Okay.
but it's behind the awning on the existing wall of the building.
Okay. And you said it was a cellular?
It just says
Figure out,
cellular
okay.
on it, which is no relation to what's out there now.
None at all. We'll drive by and have a look here in a few minutes.
Okay. Thank you very much. So we received no other request to speak requests or forms. So at this point, I am going to close the public hearing. I assume the applicant does not want to rebut anything. One thing to note to the public, that if anyone is desiring to appeal the decision under the appeal provisions of Title 30, Chapter 30.62 of the Glendale Municipal Code, the decision may be appealed to the Planning Commission within 15 days of the date of the decision. Anyone wishing to appeal may obtain forms and brochures from the Building and Safety Section, Permit Services Center, located on the same floor of this building. As I mentioned, I'm going to go ahead and close the public hearing and take this particular case under submission. Thank you very much. The next item on the agenda is for 670 Glenmore Boulevard, which is a variance case number PVAR 2009 at 043. The applicant is Yogit Premium. The staff is requesting that this item be continued to March 24th of 2010, as an arborist report is needed from the applicant to complete analysis of the project. And it should be noted that no additional notice will be provided for this project. Again, 670 Glenmore Boulevard will be continued to March 24th, 2010. Thank you very much for that. And the hearing is now officially closed. I'd like to thank all of you for coming. And that is the end of today's hearing officer meeting. It is February 24th, 2010. Thank you very much.